Good morning, everyone. I want to welcome you to the last lecture of the semester. Of course, our meeting on Wednesday and Friday is going to be on revision. And of course, I'm going to release practice question. Like the very first thing I'm going to release today is solution to short answer in exam 2. And I'm also going to release practice questions for the final. We're going to go over that on Wednesdays and Friday. Let me tell you this. This is going to be the last lecture of the semester, and what I want to teach today will not be part of the final. Of course, I've already given you the study guide, the areas we're going to have in the final. So I want to welcome, but this is very crucial. Okay, we call this graph mining. Go ahead. Yeah, I'm gonna record like I'm recording now. I'm also going to record. You mean recording for revision on Wednesday and Friday? Is that what you mean? Oh, uh, okay. So we mean the last day of class is this Wednesday, right? Oh, okay. Thanks for reminding me that. Okay, so which means we're only gonna be in class on Wednesday, right? Okay, so which means on Wednesday I'm gonna go over. That's gonna be a revision class. Does that make sense? Okay, so and I need everyone to be around because gonna go over the areas that will be covered in the final. Okay, okay. Now I want to welcome you to graph mining. Okay, very important. Okay. Uh, in the outline, gonna walk you through, or introducing you to graph mining, what is significance of graphs and networks, and application of graph mining. Okay. Now I'm actually gonna start, by showing you that. Now let me tell you this. Let me say this. In the real world data, uh, we can actually use the idea of a graph, any area, whether you want to talk about uh, in the web, you want to talk about social network, or you want to talk about the chemical structure, you want to talk about biological system, you want to talk about transportation system, or you even want to talk about energy, okay, and so on like that. I'm actually going to say the role of a graph, okay, mining cannot be overemphasized, okay. In any real world data, it can actually be applied. Now, what do I mean by graph mining? Okay, by graph mining, I actually mean a powerful analytical tool, okay, that we enable us, to extract, some insights, okay, pattern, okay, from, I'm going to record, like I'm recording now. I'm also going to record. You mean recording for revision on Wednesday and Friday? Is that what you mean? Oh, uh, okay, so we mean the last day of class is this Wednesday, right? Oh, okay. Thanks for reminding me that. Okay, so which means we're only gonna be in class on Wednesday, right? Okay, so which means on Wednesday I'm gonna go over that's gonna be a revision class. Does that make sense? Okay, so and I need everyone to be around because gonna go over the areas that will be covered in the final. Okay, okay. Now I want to welcome you to graph mining. Okay, very important. Okay. Uh, in the outline, gonna walk you through, or introducing you to graph mining, what is significance of graphs and networks, and application of graph mining. Okay. Now I'm actually gonna start, by showing you that. Now let me tell you this. Let me say this. In the real world data, uh, we can actually use the idea of a graph, any area, whether you want to talk about in the web, you want to talk about social network, or you want to talk about the chemical structure, or you want to talk about biological system, you want to talk about transportation system, or you even want to talk about energy, okay, and so on like that. I'm actually going to say the role of a graph, okay, mining cannot be overemphasized, okay. In any real world data, it can actually be applied. Now, what do I mean by graph mining? Okay, by graph mining, I actually mean a powerful analytical tool, okay, that we enable us, to extract, some insights, okay, pattern, okay, from, you know, from graph, okay, the graph that you derive, don't forget the graph is a representation of data. Okay, so of course, with graph mining, we'll be able to exploit the relationship that we notice in graph. And let me say this: um, a graph structure, okay, a web can be modeled as a graph. I'm showing you a picture now. That's a web, right? That can be modeled as a graph. But there's something I needed to pay attention to before you can actually model something as a graph. You need to first identify nodes and edges. You remember in the probabilistic graphical model that we did, right? We consider nodes, we consider edges, right? Okay, so I'm putting it to you that web, okay, is actually can actually be modeled as a graph. Okay, what is going to serve as the node will be web pages. Web pages will serve as nodes. And of course, what is going to serve as edges is actually going to be hyperlinks. Okay, the hyperlinks are the one that connect the web pages. Okay, and let me tell you this. What I'm actually displaying right now, you can see I'm displaying a network. You're actually going to see Google, you're going to see Facebook at times. If you put my name, like if you put my name on Google, okay, you're actually going to see some web that something that will came out. You're actually going to see my account for Facebook. You're actually going to see my account for YouTube. You just putting my name on the Google. Okay, so uh what I'm trying to talk about is the impact graph mining actually play here. It enhance search relevance, okay, and it improve the visibility of a high quality information. Okay, now if you take a look at what I'm actually displaying now, okay, it's trying to say as at August 2016. Okay, we got 50 billion pages. That's a lot, right? 50 billion pages. Okay, as at August 2016 in total. Okay, and with at least 4.7 73 billion index by search engines. Take a look at that. Okay, so what I'm trying to showcase here is that web can actually be modeled as a graph. Okay, I just want to take note of that. Now, I'm actually going to move right now. Take a look at social graph. You know, some of people don't really appreciate connections until when they find themselves lonely. It's not easy to be lonely. We need the world. We need ourselves. We need relate. We need to engage in what I call connections. Let me tell you this. Money at times may not make people to stay alive. We got a lot of people that have money, but they got money, but they don't have companions. They don't have people to relate with. They don't have people to talk with. Okay. And that is the reason why with the evolution of Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, WhatsApp, and so on like that, the world is a global village. Now, do you know, I want to put it to you, okay, that we can actually, all of these can be modeled as a graph. If you take a look at the connections, Okay, so here I'm trying to say the nodes here, they're actually going to be the individual users, maybe on Facebook, on Twitter, and so on, like that. And the edges will represent the relationship. Okay, now when I talk about relationship, okay, on Facebook, maybe you are friends, right? They share your post. That's a relationship. That's an edges. Or they leave comment, or or you have followers on Twitter, or you have followers on TikTok, and so on, like that. So, what this guy is actually telling us is we have Facebook has an estimated 1.5 billion users, okay, which means 1.5 billion nodes. That's what it means, nodes. I told you, okay, can be modeled as a graph, okay, and the 450 billion relationship. That is, those are the edges, okay, those are the edges. 1.5 billion users, they are connected, right? Because they share, you press, somebody make a post, you like, or you share, you make a comment. Friendship actually means edges, actually means relationship, okay? And of course, the monetization value, okay, that I'm actually seeing is $10.5, per user, that provide economic weight for the node. Okay, everything we do generates money. I say we know that. Now on the Twitter, if you take a look at the Twitter, on the other hand, okay, 313 million users, 500 million tweets. If you take a look at that, that's a sparsity. In the case of Facebook, the numbers of users, okay, if you look at the relationship compared to what you have on the Twitter, the Facebook is more, right? Facebook has more users according to what I'm displaying right now. Okay. I just wanted to take note of that. And of course, the 500 million tweets per day. Okay. If I have 500 million tweets per day, that will represent time dependent activity. Because if it's per day, because another day is going to be more than that. Okay. Then the average of 208 followers per users. And that indicates what I call sparsity in followers connection. Okay. You have a average of 208 followers per user. Okay. Now there's a lot of complexity here. Complexity. Okay. And that's why we are actually using network. Okay, to connect the node. Okay. Now there's a complexity here. Okay. And let me tell you this. There's a lot of application here where we may want to detect, community. Okay. Those who are in the same group. If I post a video on Facebook and you share my video, you are likely my friend. So that's a community. So which means the idea of clustering, we can actually cluster people with the same let me just say with some kind of engagement together. Okay. I just wanted to take note of that. Okay, we could have what we call community detection. And not only that, we can actually have a link production. The link production is, okay, can I have a way to predict the numbers of followers I'm going to have tomorrow on TikTok? Okay, based on the interaction people actually have with my network, can I make a prediction? That's what we call link prediction. Okay, some of this, we're still going to repeat this in, 4052. Because when we talk about graph mining, the graph mining go with supervised and unsupervised learning. Okay, I just wanted to take note of that. Okay, now I think I just explained. So, like I said, in the graph mining application, the node represent, it's an entity that could represent the users. Okay, that could represent objects, that could represent devices, and of course the edges represent relationship, okay, such as the friendship on Facebook or followers connections on Twitter. Okay, so I think I've explained all of that. Now I want to move right now. Okay, this is another example. If you check Wikipedia, okay, where you see it's talking about you know, the attribute, the numbers of relationship that we have and so on like that. So that connects entities such as persons, organization, countries, object, through what I call semantical relationship. Now I want to go into a biological network now. In the biological network, you may want to talk about interaction between proteins. Okay, nodes will be proteins. Okay, nodes, they're going to be protein. Then the physical interaction, there's an interaction that going on, between all of that, they are between proteins. Okay, so like I said, you may really want to understand what we mean here. And if you want to go into the chemical aspect, talk about metabolic network, where the node is metabolite and enzymes. Okay, I want to believe. I think metabolism is the breaking down when you eat, right? The breaking down of the food, right? When food gets into the body, they actually have some organ that are responsible in the breaking down of that. We got some enzymes that will actually work on that. The edges will be chemical reactions. Okay, the edges will actually be chemical reactions. Okay, I just wanted to take note of that. So this graph mining actually have application here. Okay, now I actually want to move to this. Take a look at this. Okay, maybe I want to talk about some other interaction, that we want to talk about. Talk about Star Wars. Okay. In the Star Wars, we're talking about the Game of Thrones. Okay, the Game of Thrones. Okay, we can use the idea of a graphical analysis here. Okay, the node represent the characters. You can see John, Tryon, and so on like that. You can see all of that. They are the nodes. And of course, they're going to have edges. The edges will be a relationship between characters. Okay, when you talk about relationship between characters, I want to talk about alliances. Maybe they have alliances, or they have familiar ties or rivalries. Okay, this also happened in the game of football, in the game of soccer, in the game of basketball. Okay, some teams are rivalries. When they meet, when they meet, they will attract a lot of crowd. Okay, because I remember in soccer, because I love soccer a lot. I like watching El Clasico in Spain, when it's a game between Real Madrid and Barcelona of Spain. Has anybody heard about Real Madrid before? Real Madrid. It's a soccer, yeah. And of course, the one in the United States here, I like watching Inter Miami. Messi played for Inter Miami, right? So I like watching Inter Miami. I like watching, I think, FC Galaxy. And our Minnesota United here too. At time I go to stadium to watch them. They're also doing fantastic. Okay. Okay, so what I'm trying to say in essence is that all of this will make world a better place. The interaction, and of course the interaction taking place. Of course, we actually want to make a sense of that. Okay, whether making prediction or in classification and so on. Let me tell you, these graphs are everywhere. Okay, graph are everywhere. Whether you want to talk about you want to talk about in transportation, or you want to talk about in fraud detection, you want to talk about in chemical and biological structures, or you want to talk about social network. I just talk about Facebook or LinkedIn, and so on like that. Okay, graphs are everywhere. Graphs are everywhere from web. I told you the other time, web can be modeled as a graph. Okay, I told you what edges, what nodes represent the users. The users, okay, the users are the node. Okay, in the web pages, the web pages can serve as a node. Okay, the web pages. If I want to talk about, the web and search engine analysis, in the web and search engine analysis, the web pages would be the nodes. Okay, why the edges actually going to be the hyperlinks. Okay, the hyperlinks that connect them. Okay, and of course, I remember one algorithm used by by Google. We call it page rank algorithm. The page rank algorithm will enable us to know that there are some wages that are more visited by people. Does that make sense? Where you want to rank, okay, the numbers of times a particular web have been visited. Okay, so that will enhance search relevance. Okay, and that will improve what I call the visibility of high quality information. Let me tell you this: we want high quality information. We live by information. We find ourselves in a world where we need knowledge. Where would the knowledge come from? The knowledge is going to come from information you get, and you got to be very careful with the information you get, because at times there could be misinformation or disinformation. So how do we have access to high quality information? Of course, the one of the way to do that is to go to the web and search. Okay, so with the idea of representing web as a graphical structure, the idea of a graph mining can actually be used to enhance what I call search relevance. Then I first I talk about social network. You can see what I'm displaying. Facebook, LinkedIn, the LinkedIn, the Instagram, the X, and so on like that. Of course, they can actually be represented as a graph. I said when you're talking about social network, the users are the nodes for social network. But talk about web, the web pages are the node. The web pages are the node. The hyperlinks are the edges. But we talk about the social network, of course, the users are the node. Okay. And of course, if you want to know about the edges, the edges in that is actually going to be the friendship, the followers, people that share your comment, people that like your post, that leave comments, and so on like that. Okay, so the application of graph mining in social network is one of that is a community detection. You'll be able to know, like if I post and you like my post or you share my post, okay, it's like you actually like my philosophy in a way. That's why you do that. Okay, community detection is identify group of friends that will enable us to identify a group of friends or professional network with similar interests. Like if you check LinkedIn, you're actually going to see I'm also on LinkedIn. Apart, I put my video on LinkedIn. So uh, it's also a way if you want to interact with, those in academics. Okay. So I just wanted to, and let me also say the recommendation system as well, because the way Netflix recommend movies, I think we did that in this class to customers. Of course, they use the idea of a graphical relationship between the customers and the preference of the movies. And of course, with the social network, that I just talked about, that will facilitate social connection and engagement. Okay, to facilitate social connection and engagement. Okay, and some people also, some marketers use that for advertising. Okay, just wanted to understand all of that. Now, the next thing I'm going to talk about is chemical and biological structure. I want to for of us. They say I love chemistry. Chemistry was my best, aside math. My let me just say the second best subject in high school, chemistry, because I love playing with chemical bonds. So in the case, when you want to talk about chemical structure, okay, chemical structure can be modeled as a graph. What are the nodes? I'm actually going to say molecules, okay, can be modeled as a graph. That's why you have a molecular structure. When you take a look at the molecular structure, okay, what would be the nodes? Atoms. Has anybody heard about atoms? Atoms. Atoms is the smallest particle of an element that can take part in a chemical reaction. An example of atom, okay, maybe you want to refer to some element like hydrogen, lithium, and so on like that. So atoms, we actually going to be the nodes, okay? But what would be the edges would be chemical bonds. There's going to be a bonds. I remember then in school when we talk about, has anybody heard about organic chemistry, where we talk about the family of alkanes, the families of alkenes, the families of alkynes, and so on like that. So, that is the chemical aspect. And of course, that's very good in drug discovery. Okay, in drug, they capitalize on the relationship and were able to identify, some compound, okay, with desired property, and they analyze the chemical property and they realize that that's actually good for drug. Okay, now, and so on like that. So, and if you look at the biological structure, okay, biological structure can also be represented as a graph. Okay, if you take a look at what is going on in the blood system, in the digestive system, okay, you're actually going to see a situation where organs are connected. Okay, they are connected. We got nose, we got edges. Okay, and of course, we have the impacts in chemical and biological structure. Okay, it accelerates medical breakthroughs and new treatments. We don't arrive at new treatment by accident. We did a lot of job using graph mining, okay, to be able to come with that. I'm going to go into transportation networks. Do you know transportation network can actually be described as a graph? Can somebody tell me what you think the node will be? Yeah, right. Nodes will be. Exactly. Locations. That's send me a message for extra credit. Okay, those of you that have won extra credit, I normally wait on the final exam. When you see the result of your final exam, you just tell me the extra credit you earn by. That's why I used to say I used to ask you to send me a message. So all what you have to do is to take a screenshot of the number of times you actually send me a message for extra credit. And of course, every one is one point. Imagine you have 20 points and somebody score 80% in the final. I'm just going to add the 20 point. That would be 100%. Okay, so just like what she said, location, city, interceptions are the node. Okay, location, city, interceptions. They're actually going to be the node. And of course, we're going to have edges. Edges, an example of edges, what connects city, roads. Does that make sense? Roads would be edges. Not only that, the routes and flights, they're going to be edges. Okay, in the transportation network. And let me tell you this, the application, okay, you know, there's something that we call shortest path algorithm, the shortest path algorithm. Okay, there's so many ways to get to University of Minnesota from where I live, and one of the shortest path algorithm I can use is Google Map. The Google Map is going to tell me the shortest route to get to university. Does that make sense? Okay, so then we're able to have what I call a traffic optimization. Okay, because the Google Map would dictate what I call congestion hotspots. Okay, it's going to tell you, oh, proceed to. It's going to suggest the fastest route. At times when I'm driving, it's going to tell me there's a construction ahead of me. Okay, and it's going to suggest whether I want to consider changing my route. Does that make sense? Okay, so all that are possible through graphical network. Then another thing I'm going to talk about is fraud detection. Fraud detection. You know, I had an opportunity to speak with a scammer. That was 2 weeks ago. Okay, he called me. Okay, and I said this. He gave me some of my information, and I said, "You know what? You are a scammer." And he was like, "How do I know?" Even though I don't have anything monitoring, I'm not monitored, but at times I believe in my phone. My phone is going to suggest when somebody call me, it's going to say scammer alert, and at times my phone can make mistake too. But my mind just tell me that day I'm speaking to a scammer. I said, "Do you know you are a scammer?" He said, "How do you know?" I said, "I know." I said, "I'm looking at you right now." and he became scared, even though I don't have anything to monitor. I'm just using my statistical and machine learning sense. And I advised him. I said, you have to change. I said, imagine they scam your family. How are you gonna feel? He said, you're gonna feel bad. Why are you scamming another people's family? He said, I need to survive. I have my family. He said he's taking care. The money that he got from scamming people, he's using that to take care of his family. And I said, okay, your family, are they aware of what you're doing? He said, no. I said, when they are aware that you are scamming people to take care of them, how are they going to feel? He said, they're not going to like it. I said, change it. Don't do it again. And he really, like, he cooperated with me that day. And he said he was going to change. And I said, I'm going to call him again to do a follow up. So I think I have in mind, I'm going to call him. I'm going to, a lot of people, they're doing something wrong. Even though situation may push them to what they are doing. But before you hurt somebody, okay, put yourself in the shoe of the person you are hurting. And that's why we need a fraud detection in place. Okay. We don't want to wake up one day. Imagine we walk and walk and walk to get some money and somebody just outsmart us. We wake up and we check the balance and the money in the bank is gone. And that's why we need graph mining. Okay. So fraud, very useful in fraud detection. There's something that we call anomaly detection. Okay. Where we identify what we call unusual pattern. Okay, with the relationship that we have, okay, we can identify the same way I was able to identify unusual pattern when the guy was talking to me, because I know that I quickly realized that he was a scammer. Okay, so fraudulent credit card transaction, and some people have fake accounts. You have to be aware. You are here to be able to protect yourself. Okay, not only yourself, your property. Okay, because well, we got some people, they are not hardworking. They want to outsmart us. We're never going to allow them to outsmart us using our statistical and machine learning knowledge. Okay, now I talk about recommender system. Okay, where I talk, the other time I talk about users and items, right? So the movies are the node. Movies are the node. It's not only Netflix that recommend, even Amazon. Amazon, then products will be node for Amazon. Does that make sense? Products will be node for Amazon. And of course, the edges representing preferences. Okay, I have my preference, in a movie, I have my preference for products. Does that make sense? And that's what they recommend. So the graph mining can also be used in the recommender system. Now, there's another one that is very, very important that I call energy grids. Some of you may be wondering, energy, how do I enhance productivity? Okay, how do we actually enhance energy efficiency? Okay, how do we reduce costs and improve reliability? Okay, now the idea of a graph mining can actually be used. I'm going to tell you the power plant, the transformers, the consumers, they form node here. Okay, but because there's an interaction between transformers, the power plants, and the consumers that use electrical services. Okay, so the electrical lines will form the edges. Electrical lines form the edges. You know, if I'm able to identify what I call fault detection, okay, identify vulnerability in the power grid, that will enhance energy efficiency. Okay, and not only that, that will reduce cost and improves reliability. The last one that I'm going to talk about is cybersecurity. Has anybody heard about cybersecurity? You got a lot of crime go on social media. That's why you have to be careful. Okay, you have to be careful. So the idea of graph mining can actually be used. Okay, here the node represent devices, users, okay, or files. Okay, I'm going to say that again, nodes here, because before you can represent data as a graph, you need to identify node and edges. Does that make sense? So in cybersecurity, Okay. The node represent the devices, the users, the files. Okay. While the edges represent communication. Does that make sense? You communicate online, right? Okay. Edges represent communication or access. Okay. So I just wanted to take note of that. And with the idea of that, you'll be able to improve system safety and integrity. Okay. And that will reduce cyber attack. Do you know so many times some departments in the United States have been attacked? You know, uh, they've had a series of cyber attacks. Okay. So individual can also have that. So you got to be very, very careful. But I'm going to say with all of this, with graph mining technique, then we'll be able, to be rest assured, that we're not going to have that ugly situation. Okay, so why graph? Why now? So I think I've already explained all of that across, okay, from social network to web to biological structure to chemical system and so on like that. Take a look at this. Graph mining is at the point of intersection of all these disciplines. You can't talk about machine learning without talking about graph mining. I remember probabilistic graphical model that we did. Okay. And let me also tell you this. Uh, for those of you that will take 4052 in the next semester, of course, if you want to talk about neural network, okay, where we go from, inputs to output, and we got some hidden layers, stuff like that. We have a network in place. With the knowledge of a graphical theory, okay, they'll be able to understand relationship, okay, or we'll be able to understand the graphical relationship, okay. So I'm actually saying the graph mining is at the center of statistics as a discipline, machine learning, okay, graph theory, and database. If you look at the way we store our data set, okay, the idea of a graph mining can actually be used. And that's why I'm trying to showcase graph mining to us as a topic that is, as an area that is very, very essential when it comes to disciplines, okay? Go from, it's at a point of interception of most of the discipline. If you want to mention from web page to social network to chemical structure to biological system to transportation network and so on like that. Take a look at that. So when we talk about graph theory, the graph theory is going to actually provide us with a mathematical framework to understand relationship between graph. Don't forget, in the probabilistic graphical model, we use the idea of a graph theory and probability theory, okay, in the probabilistic graphical model that we did. So, like I said, graph mining is a process of discovering, retrieving, and analyzing not trivial pattern in graph shape data. At times, I normally want to test whether somebody is consistent. I remember in the multiple choice exam that I said I repeated some questions. If you really want to know whether somebody is consistent, you can you can try to ask that person the same question more than one time to see whether the person is going to flip. Okay, and that is how to discover. I used to tell somebody. I remember when I met my wife. When I met my wife said, "Prove to me that you are genuine, that you are not going to be a fake." I know what I told my wife. I said, "What is fake will not see the light. Will not stand a test of time. Anything that is fake will never stand a test of time." I said, "Give me time to prove myself." This is more than 20 years in our relationship now. I remember I told her yesterday, I said, I've been proving myself and I will continue to prove myself. Okay? Yeah. So That is consistency. That's what we're talking about. That doesn't mean there's going to be challenges. There's going to be some kind of challenges, but you consider what I call benefit. If benefit outweighs the risk, so be it. Does that make sense? Okay. Anytime I make a mistake, I remember my wife. I said, model is not perfect. Model does not give exact characterization of reality. Okay. I'm going to correct my mistake. Okay. Okay, let's continue. Okay, I think I've explained all of that. Oh my God. The application of graph mining now. I've explained chemical structure. Take a look at that. That is looking like an organic chemistry. Has anybody seen this structure before? It's an organic chemistry. Okay. We don't just have this structure. I told you this is a combination, the node and the atoms. This is a molecular structure. Molecular structure can be represented as a graph. Okay. Now, the node years are going to be the atoms, okay? And of course, you actually going to have the edges, okay? Which is going to be the bond. You can see the way H is bond with H, bond with N, okay? These are very good for drug discovery, okay? Now, community detection, take a look at that. Community detection. If I share a post, either on TikTok, or on LinkedIn or on Facebook, and somebody like my post, if a good number of people like my post, then they like my philosophy in a way. Does that make sense? Okay. So you'll be able to use the idea of clustering here, where you'll be able to put some people in a group, people that have similar engagements in a group. That's what we call community detection. Okay. This community detection is one of the application of graph mining. Okay, so take a look at that. Another one, influence propagation. Okay, if you take a look at that, influence propagation, you actually apply vaccines. I remember in the COVID time where we got vaccines, okay, Pfizer, Moderna, AstraZeneca, Johnson and Johnson. There are different kind of vaccines that people get, and of course, interaction. We got interactions, that's really going on. Okay, the idea of graph, mining can actually be used in that regard. Okay, now you can see something actually caused something to happen. Okay, so something, if that's why we call this influence propagation. Okay, now link prediction. No, link prediction. If people are if I make a post on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, and I make a post on Facebook, or I make a post on Twitter, or I make a post on LinkedIn. Okay. Do you know link prediction is a supervised learning where I actually want to make a prediction of new friends. What is the probability? What is the chance? I'm actually, uh, with the kind of interaction, with the kind of engagement people have with my posts right now. Okay, can we make a prediction of new friends, new comments? Making a prediction of new friends, making a prediction of new comment, making a prediction of new share, all of that is what we call link prediction. Does that make sense? That's what we call link prediction. Okay. And of course, in link prediction, because it's a supervised learning, we're actually going to have training. There's going to be a training period. There's going to be a testing period. Don't forget, in the supervised learning, we're actually going to split our data set into training set and into test set. We learn the algorithm using the training set, right? Then we test the performance of the algorithm using the test set. So whenever prediction is involved, you're actually going to split your data. Does that make sense? So this is under supervised learning, and something like this is coming in 4052 because there's going to be a lot of supervised learning because the way we structure the lecture, okay, of 4051 based on it was based on unsupervised learning, but 4052 we majorly focus on supervised learning. Does that make sense? And that is where prediction is actually going to come in. I think I talked about detecting fraud the other time. So this is the structure for that. Okay, representing proximity. Okay, you remember we use hierarchical algorithm, clustering, to group individuals, right, with similar characteristics. Okay, so representing proximity, So the next thing I want to talk about, we have a graph, we have a network. What is it different? Should we use a network or should we use a graph? Okay, you need to be able to understand the distinction between network and graph. And that's why I said, yeah, network refers to real system. Talking about real system, talking about web, the social, the biological, or the transport, whatever, that I've mentioned today. But the graph will now be an abstract mathematical model of a network. It's just like I said, in statistics in general, we have a reality, right? We got a reality, right? And we got a model, right? Model. This is a reality. This is a model. What do we use a model to do? Is we use a model to depict reality, to represent reality. So reality is like network. Why graph is the model, what you use as an abstract mathematical model for the network. But let me tell you this. Can graph give us the exact network? Can graph give us exact network? Anybody? Can graph give, and you need to tell me the reason. Why? Okay, well, yes or no? Can graph give us exact network? Exactly. Send me a message for us. Because it's a model. Okay? When you see the map of Minnesota, the map of Minnesota is not exactly Minnesota. Does that make sense? But it's actually going to give us, an abstract representation. Okay, that is a different. Look at that. The network is the reality. The graph is the model. Okay, that's how you're going to hear a web graph. When you see, when I'm talking about network, I talk about web. When I want to talk about graph, I talk about web graph. It means I'm having a graphical representation of reality. Does that make sense? I love statistics a lot. I love machine learning a lot. I love anything mathematical related a lot. But you're only going to enjoy anything mathematical related if you are able to relate to real life. That's helped me a lot. Relating to real life. Okay. Then in graph, we make use of terminology like, okay, the node and the edges. Okay. I said, but we often use both without distinction. Some people will think they are the same. They are not the same. Model is not the same as reality. I remember what George Boss said. Okay, he said, um, all models are wrong, but some are useful. But I'm actually going to say all models are wrong, but we can make some to be useful. Okay, by making sure we check assumptions. Okay, I think I've given a lot of examples today. Oh my God, what is next? What is next is going to be revision and final exam. Okay, revision on Wednesday. Okay, like I said, the class on Wednesday is very, very crucial. Okay, now on Wednesday, of course, I'm going to have revision, then I'm going to have my closing remark. And I'm going to tell you the day of my party. And those of you that will attend my party, I'm going to put a message on the announcement section. I need you to indicate if you want to attend my party. I'm going to put a date, and you need to tell me your dietary, like what you eat, what we like to eat. I want to know ahead of time. I'm going to prepare for you. Okay? Make sure you all stay safe and have a lovely day. Bye for now, everyone.